Hey guys, how you doing? This is Rich here on behalf of Rich TV Live, and I have some big news here from a company that I actually interviewed, and they did a name change and they did a symbol change. Company name is now CloudMD, used to be PHGI. CloudMD to offer free trial telemedicine solutions to healthcare professionals across North America to help manage coronavirus pandemic. This is big news. This is breaking news that just came out today. And if you've been watching what's going on in the whole world, unless you've been living under a rock, you're very aware of the coronavirus pretty much shocking the whole world. Well, what these guys do is they provide telemedicine services and solutions, which is something that President Trump himself has said they are going to lean on heavily because everybody can't just flush the hospitals with coronavirus tests. So you need to contact your telemedicine service providers and call them over the phone so that you can get services over the phone so we don't inundate our hospitals. This is the big news from CloudMD. CloudMD Software and Services Inc., DOC in Canada, Docrf in America. These are the symbols in Canada and America. This is the brand new website at cloudmd.ca. As you can see here, all the information is on the website. You can see what you get with CloudMD here. CloudMD Software and Services Inc. And it is DOCRF in America and DOC in Canada and 6PH in Frankfurt, Germany, a company focused on revolutionizing the delivery of healthcare, is pleased to announce it is immediately offering a free trial of its proprietary telemedicine solutions to North American healthcare professionals to help tackle the coronavirus epidemic. This is big news, breaking news. You can see some of the testimonials of CloudMD here. The CDC and President Trump have recently announced that telemedicine is a vital part of fighting the current pandemic. On Friday, President Trump said his administration will waive certain federal rules to make it easier for more doctors to provide care remotely using video chats and other services. That's exactly what these guys provide, guys. Take a look at all the services they provide. This is the future, and President Trump himself has said that telemedicine is very vital right now. In addition, a recently announced coronavirus funding bill includes a provision that may help some Medicare beneficiaries access virtual care. In Canada, the Ministry of Health is working on allocating more resources for telehealth to meet the rising demand. An emergency telemedicine code was announced on Friday to allow Ontario patients to be billed through the Provincial Medical Payments Plan, Ontario Health Insurance Plan, OHIP, the Canadian Medical Protective Association, CMPA, which provides medical legal protection to physicians, just announced they will cover any Canadian physician seeing any Canadian patient to help combat the current crisis. This is a major issue, and CloudMD has a solution. We've reached out to all levels of government and health agencies to offer our support during these trying times, said Dr. Ostro, current Chief Medical Officer of CloudMD and former CEO of Vancouver Coast Health Authority. At CloudMD, we are focused on mitigating the stressors placed on the public health care system by providing patient access to the care they need while reducing the burden on emergency rooms and walk-in clinics. You can see how it works right here. CloudMD's telemedicine solutions can be used as a standalone solution for healthcare professionals needing to see their own patients during the crisis. The company will immediately be turning on its integrated telemedicine client on a free trial basis to all 315 clinics and 3,000 healthcare professionals using their Juno electronic medical records EMR software. Physicians will be able to access all appointments scheduled through the app directly in their EMR schedule in real time, including telemedicine visits, which can be initiated through a single click with no need for different interfaces and crowded screens. We have seen tremendous interest in our software solutions and services over the past few weeks, said Dr. Isam Hamza, CEO of CloudMD, which I've personally interviewed. It is vital that healthcare professionals continue servicing their patients during their crisis. Telemedicine allows for an efficient and safe way. This is a way for patients while protecting them and others from spreading the coronavirus. This is big news, breaking news, CloudMD. What do you guys think? Love to know what you guys think. And I'm going to show you guys more about CloudMD. Let's see here. This is the big news. It's literally breaking everywhere. And you can just get the app. Click on that, get the app. Google Play, Apple Store. You want to find a physician, see a doctor online, click on see a doctor online, bam. And if you want to actually see a big company, the biggest company in the world, which I'm a huge fan of, the largest telemedicine company in the world is TDOC, and they're actually down pre-market 3.7%, but this is a stock that I told you guys about at $100. It went as high as 100, I believe, and 53. Told you guys about these around $100. You can see that they just been climbing all the way up. Went as high as 153, came all the way back down to about $110 range, 113, and had a nice big jump here on Friday. Is down like everything else pre-market. We're down big pre-market, guys. Like very big pre-market. So anticipate a bloodbath of a red day today. That's what I'm anticipating. Unless you're buying like the VIX and volatility indexes, which happen to be up, it seems, pre-market. Looks as though a lot of them are up pre-market. As you can see here, look. Pro Shares Trust, Ultra Pro Short, QQQ, up 26% pre-market. Huge day for them. Massive day for them. What do you guys think about this news? I know that these guys just did a name change. I'm going to show you guys the interview that I did for PHGI. Let's do this.
If you want to day trade, do it right and don't lose your money. Learn how to trade.
Hi, how you doing today? Thank you for joining Rich TV Live. I'm here with a very special guest. It is the CEO of Premier Health Group, Isam Hamza. How you doing, Isam?
Great, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Isam, who you are, and how Premier Health Group Inc. started?
So my name is Isam Hamza. I'm a family doctor. I've been in practice over 20 years. Always been interested in using technology and delivery of healthcare and use of technology to help patients and doctors make the interaction much more efficient. And so for the past 20 years, I've been trying to incorporate a lot of different things into my practices and built up a few different clinics in the Lower Mainland here and connected them and started making them integrated with the same electronic medical records and started using early adoption of telemedicine and so on. And then Premier Health, about a year ago, at a public company, purchased the clinics and I came on as a CEO. And since then, our motto is to totally disrupt the delivery of healthcare in Canada and around the world from something that is completely inefficient and expensive and unsustainable to something that with technology can grow and provide better care to patients and make it much more efficient for everybody involved.
That's great. Now, you mentioned it a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about the current issues with the Canadian healthcare system and how Premier Health offers a solution?
Sure, actually, and it's not just the Canadian health system. I mean, the Canadian health system definitely has its own unique issues, but the world, the world in a lot of jurisdictions is aging. And with the aging population, it's becoming more expensive to take care of them. And the traditional model of waiting until something happens and treating it then doesn't work really well. The traditional model of the doctor being the center of care and having less and less doctors compared to the number of patients doesn't work either. And so our motto is to change that whole dynamic and make the patient the center of their own healthcare. So the patient-centric care instead of the doctor-centric care. And so the reason for that is, you hear stories all the time about not enough doctors in Canada or in this area or that area. Let's produce more doctors. And the problem is not necessarily that there's not enough doctors, but there's not a good distribution of doctors. So some areas have too many doctors and some areas have no doctors. And the traditional model would be that a patient has to take a day off of work, or drag their kids out of school, drive across town, sitting in a waiting room, after waiting 2 weeks for that appointment, wait in the waiting room for an hour and a half, then go into an appointment for 5 minutes to get a prescription that they already knew they needed or something, right?
Yeah, so
And it's completely inefficient. And most of the time, I would say probably about 70% of the time, we as doctors don't even touch the patient, and so a lot of it can be delivered in a much more efficient way through technology, through virtual medicine and telemedicine and so on. And that's kind of the core concept. But to do that, you have to empower the patient. They have to understand their own health. They have to understand what medications they're taking, for what reasons, who they saw, what the results of the lab tests are, what the results of their MRIs and X-rays and so on are. And so to do that, you have to give the records to them because of privacy reasons. Doctors can't share records unless you get permission from the patient. So that's a very inefficient way. So often what happens is you go to one doctor, they have no clue what the other doctor did, they repeat tests, which is more expensive to the system. Or you can't take time off of work and you run out of your medication. What happens? You get a diabetic complication or a stroke from hypertension, or you go to emergency, which costs the system a lot more money than going to see your family doctor. And so the inefficiencies and the problems with the Canadian healthcare system and so on is costing us billions of dollars, and it's not sustainable. And the reason that the government is encouraging and promoting the use of technology and telemedicine in the future delivery of healthcare.
that's fantastic. I think you guys are doing something really, really cool here. Now, what is your app called and who is it available to?
So our app is called My Health Access. This is the current app, and the reason it's called My Health Access, and it's available on Google Store as well as the Apple Store.
Great.
Is that when we are a health tech company, we're not a clinic business, we're a health tech company, and we bought a health tech company out of Victoria earlier last year that already provides electronic medical records to 3,000 doctors across 8 provinces in Canada. And they have about 3 million patient charts in the system already. So 3 million patients have charts in our system already. And they already had a patient portal called My Health Access that we used as the start of this app. And so that was called My Health Access, and we kept that name so for continuity reasons, patients would know to be able to download it. So now, instead of starting from no patients and going direct to consumer and trying to educate patients and trying to acquire patients and customers, we already have a base of 3 million patients that we can draw from. And so we released the My Health Access app a couple months ago into the store. We have over 80,000, we announced over 80,000 registered users already of that app.
Congratulations. That's great. That's great.
You. And so the patients are able to do 24/7 online booking from home instead of trying to call Monday morning to the staff and trying to get in to make an appointment. So, any one of those patients can do 24/7 online booking. They can do telemedicine with one of our doctors or one of their doctors on demand. And also, they have the ability to do secure messaging so that we can start sending things back and forth to patients. And that's going to be another buzzword you're going to hear a lot about in 2020 and going forward is secure messaging, because we're not supposed to be using email or text or any of those things that are unsecured to even identify you as a patient. So we have to provide security in the transmission of things. And to do that, you need some sort of platform that does provide that, and our app does that. So that's another reason we developed the app.
Okay, great. Now, what are your current products and how many clinics are using your technology today?
So with our acquisitions, we've made a few acquisitions. So Premier Health initially bought the 4 clinics with over 120,000 patients. And then we purchased the Cloud Practice tech company out of Victoria. And Cloud Practice had 3 different products, let's say. So the first product they have is called Juno, which is an Oscar-based electronic medical record. So electronic medical record is what the doctor uses when you go into the office and you're talking to your doctor and they're sitting there typing away on the computer. They're entering all that information into your electronic medical record. And there's different vendors that have it. So one of the vendors is called Juno. And Juno provides electronic medical records to over 3,000 doctors, about 315 clinics across the country in 8 provinces. And like I said, about 3 million patients. They also have a second product that fully integrates again into Juno. And that's a billing software called ClinicAid. And ClinicAid does over 30 million a month in billing transactions for doctors' offices and allied professionals. And then the third product was the My Health Access portal, which we've really developed over the past year into a full-fledged app that we just talked about as well. So that's the 3 products from them. And then we also just recently acquired a company called LiveCare. And LiveCare is a pioneer, one of the very first telemedicine companies in Canada, over 4 years now. And they have provided over 27,000 telemedicine visits over those years to a range of places, but particularly the focus was remote communities and Indigenous First Nations communities that are underserviced and so on. They worked with a lot of government agencies and provincial agencies and Native agencies and so on to provide these clinics. And like I said, they were really pioneers. And then another reason we acquired them was not just that telemedicine platform they have, but that telemedicine platform has the ability to have all the devices attached to it. So let me explain that for a second, because I think this is really important. When a doctor sees a patient through telemedicine, traditionally, so if you talk about teledoc or something like that, you're able to see them and do a lot of things. You can do prescription refills, you can give them requisitions for lab tests, you can talk to them about mental health and counsel them and so on. So there's a lot of things, right? What you can't do is you can't look in the eardrum, you can't listen to the heart, you can't listen to the lungs and so on. With the telemedicine application they have with LiveCare, they actually have these carts that they can put in remote communities or clinics and we'll talk about this in a second with pharmacies that we're doing, where it's almost like a clinic in a box. So they're very small footprint carts, and they have Bluetooth stethoscopes and otoscopes and ophthalmoscopes. And so now the doctor on the other side, across the country or across the world, can do a full exam on that patient. Wow. They can actually see the eardrum of the crying kid, or listen to the lungs and to see if there's pneumonia, or look in the throat and so on, and do almost a full exam. And so it expands that use case for telemedicine virtual care even further. And that's another reason we bought them. And the final reason we bought them is that they have an exclusive partnership with McMaster University for, I think, the future of the personalized health record. So remember I told you before, the reason there's issues with sharing, doing this is that the patient health record is so fractured. There's some stuff here and some stuff there. McMaster has developed a patient hub where all your records, everything from vaccines to your visits and so on, all sit there. And not just from your doctor, It could be from your pharmacist that enters information, or that the information gets dumped into, from your chiropractor, from your counselor, and attaches a team around it, right? So now it's not just your allied professionals that are attached to it, but even let's say if you're an elderly patient, maybe your caregivers, maybe your kids, that can be part of that team. And now they can be able to share some of those charts so that they can provide you better care, and it goes both ways. So it sends information in there, so you have one unified hub. And so if you think of it like a spoken wheel kind of thing, so that's the hub. And now you have other things plugging into it. You have your Fitbits plugging into it, and your health monitoring devices, and your cardiac specialists. So they have that built out, and it fully integrates into the electronic medical records and the devices and so on. And so that's kind of the future of the healthcare delivery, and that's another reason we bought LifeCare.
I really like what you guys are doing. I'll give you a great example. So I'm from Toronto, and I hurt my back.
Yeah.
So I go to a doctor here.
They have no clue.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have to go back to my doctor in Toronto, get them to send the back records to here. And it's just a nightmare. It's a headache. It's just a waste of my time. So what you're talking about is actually, there's a huge need for it.
100%.
And there's no one really doing it. Now, you did mention on TDoc.
Yes.
So TDoc, for those of you guys that are watching at home, is probably the biggest in America doing this.
Probably in the world, yeah.
In the world, yeah. So they're actually one of my picks that you guys will be hearing about. I think has a huge potential, a huge future, that company. And it's a stock that I think could do really, really well. How do you compare to them? They're like an $80 stock on a senior exchange in America. I think you said $6 billion market cap.
I think they have a $6 billion market cap. We're about 30 million Canadian, wow. And so and that's great. So we're not afraid of competition. We encourage it. We do not want to be the only one in the industry in Canada, and we're not. And I'll explain to you why in a second here. But it's very important that patient education happens. That this is a viable way to get your healthcare delivered. And that's very expensive. It takes time and effort and money to educate patients and doctors and everybody that this is a great way to do it. To give you an example, in some places in the States, some insurance companies and so on that have telemedicine and virtual care, over 53% of delivery of healthcare is through virtual care. Wow. In Canada, we're less than 1% right now.
Oh, wow.
So we have a long way to go.
I had no idea it was like that.
Yeah, and so we have a long way to go to get to that point. And that's going to require patient education. And that's also going to require other people in the industry providing kind of validation and so on. So we encourage it. So we encourage the fact that Teledoc's there. They're acquiring a lot of companies around the world instead of establishing their own presence in a lot of places. And there's other ones as well, and Babylon here in Canada, they just released, I think, in BC. There's Maple out of Ontario that recently raised, I think, $14.5 million. So there's a few different companies out there that are doing pure direct consumer. The difference is that we already have an established base of patients. So we're not starting from zero and trying to acquire patients very expensive, in a very expensive way. We have 3 million patient charts already in the system that are kind of low-hanging fruit that are able to come into the system right away to give us a base. And when we release this app, like I said, we already have over 80,000 registered users, which is great. We are going direct to consumer as well. And one more thing that we've announced and we will be encouraging further is that we are going to be creating these kiosks in pharmacies as well. So, right. And that's the reason for that is that's the very big pain point for patients. Most patients don't know they ran out of medication until they get to the pharmacy. They see the pharmacist actually 7 to 8 times a year compared to their family doctor, which is maybe 3 times to 4 times a year. And so that's usually where they have to leave the pharmacy, go across town, or wait until they get an appointment or they run out before they can get the prescription, come back, if they even come back to that pharmacy. So the pharmacist loses business and doesn't provide that continuity of care. The patient is inconvenienced, the doctor is inconvenienced, and everybody's having worse care. So we're putting these very small footprint kiosks in these pharmacies so that we can provide on-demand, things that they need, like prescription refills and follow-ups and so on at the point of care there too.
Great. And what type of feedback have you been getting from the new patient-centered technology, the telemedicine app?
They love it. It's been a life changer for a lot of people in different ways. So yes, it's convenient for sure, but it is also the future of delivery of certain types of medicine, including and especially mental health. And so it's when I say life changer, I don't think I'm understating it. It really is something that, or overstating, sorry, it is something that has been dramatic in our practices. We've been doing telemedicine for a couple of years now in our practices, and especially the younger patients, the teenagers and young adults and so on, they're already anxious to begin with, or depressed or whatever. The last thing they want to do is be dragged into a busy waiting room where they think everybody's staring at them, and then waiting an hour and a half in a very uncomfortable environment, and then going into a even smaller room and talking for 5 minutes quickly about something that's bothering them, and trying to get them to open up. And so it's always been a barrier for mental health with young kids and young adults and so on. And this has been something that's been transformational. I mean, it's been something where now patients at home are more comfortable to talk to the doctors and their healthcare workers and counselors and so on. And that is going to be probably the thing that really leads telemedicine to broad adoption. And that's one thing we've been doing. The second thing that we've been testing and will be launching relatively soon as part of this app is using artificial intelligence to triage the patient before the doctor sees them. So a lot of times when you go see your doctor and you wait that hour and a half in the waiting room and you go in, and the reason they're rushed is they're already behind, and then they have to ask you a bunch of questions to get to the point where they can actually help you. So it takes about 15 minutes just to find out why you're really there and what we can do for you. And then we rush on the actual solution. And so artificial intelligence has the way to ask you questions and give all that information to the doctor. So for instance, you say, I want to see the doctor. It'll ask, what would you like to see the doctor for? And you'll say, I have a headache. And it'll ask you the same questions I would or my nurse would. How long have you had it for? Do you have it on one side or both sides? Nausea, vomiting from 1 to 10, so on and so on and so on. It takes all that information, gives it to the doctor. So now the doctor has a full history. They have a differential diagnosis with about a 95% accuracy rate. And they even have lab tests that you could run and test and the treatment options based on current evidence before they even said hi to you. So it saves, the system, it's even more efficient than even, the fact that you're drawn from doctors from far away. You're having technology now do the intake and the nursing basically first. And so that's something else that everybody likes. The patients like it, the doctors like it, because now the doctors can spend that 10-15 minutes on actually helping you instead of the 10-15 minutes finding out why you're there. And so that's another reason that we're doing what we're doing.
So Premier Health is already revenue producing, which is great and honestly quite rare. Can you share with us your details and ideas of revenue figures and projections currently for 2019 and going into 2020 and beyond?
Sure. I think our run rate we had for 2019 was about 11.5 million. And for the end of 2020, we have about 22 million projected. We've made a lot of acquisitions, like we mentioned over the year, from the clinics to the 2 tech companies to 2 pharmacies with national banners recently. And that provides a lot of established revenue. But also the reason we did it was that they're all synergistic things. You know about the clinics, about the tech companies we talked about already. The reason the pharmacies are important is that, again, the patient and the pharmacist interaction is very important. The pharmacist is part of the allied professionals, and it's not something we were experts at before we purchased the pharmacies. And we want to provide kind of further convenience and compliance for patients so that patients don't run out of medications. They don't, get diabetic complications or strokes from, high blood pressure and so on. And so we have the ability now to partner with pharmacies across the country and have the prescription delivered to the patient as well after the interaction with the doctor. And so that's one more thing that we want to have as part of our team and what we provide to them.
Oh, it's great because we're going into 2020 now. We're here, and 2020, it's like a world where nobody wants to leave their home.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to go on the computer. They want to do their shopping on Amazon. Right. So I know you guys have some news. Did you want to discuss a little bit of the news that's coming up?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you mentioned Amazon, and Amazon has started. Everybody's kind of started putting their fingers into healthcare, because healthcare, they see it as a very important part of the future. Whether it's Apple with the Apple Watches and different things, to Google, with the Google Health initiatives and so on, to Amazon. They bought PillPack, right? So you mentioned delivery. That's why they bought PillPack, right? Is that they're going to get into the prescription delivery business relatively soon. And then they purchased, and then they announced something called Amazon Care, where they were providing telemedicine services to their employees, starting in Seattle, 24/7, telemedicine services for their employees, and eventually to all their employees around the world, right? So it's called Amazon Care. And why is that important? Is right after they announced Amazon Care, they purchased a company called Health Navigator. And Health Navigator was kind of the leading company in, remember I told you about the artificial intelligence algorithm asking questions first?
Yeah.
So they were the leading company in that space. And Amazon basically said, we're buying you, cancel all your other agreements. Microsoft was even using Health Navigator for their health bot. And so they canceled kind of everybody else and said, you're just going to work for our patients, basically, our employees. Why that's important is, number one, they're getting into the space. And number two, the senior sales VP of sales of Health Navigator has just joined our team. And he's now our senior VP of sales.
That's great.
And he has international exposure to markets and a lot of experience. He's really well regarded, and he's leading charge in our sales as well. So we're really comfortable with our sales projections and direction we're going to.
Okay, great. Now, our community is a vast community of investors all over the world in over 60 countries. The majority of the people that are watching are from Canada and the United States. Those are the two biggest markets. Now, one of the things that our community loves is they love to figure out your share structure.
Right.
It's very important when you're looking at the stock market, what the shares look like, what the insiders' holdings look like. Would you mind sharing that a little bit with us?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So between the insiders, friends and family, and the core group that kind of took this company public and so on, we have about over 40% ownership of the shares. We have about, I think, 81 million shares outstanding, fully diluted, I think just over 90 million.
Very tight.
So it's very tight. We do between just over 200,000 to 300,000 shares a day right now in trading. We're listed on the CSE, but we also have the OTCQB as well. And like I said, we have pretty good distribution. We expect to do even better kind of volume and distribution kind of going forward. There's going to be some major road shows that I'm going to starting this weekend again to start getting the word out, because we're now at the execution phase. We were kind of in a quiet phase before, just to build the company. We built the company, we built the product, and now we're executing, and we're going to have a lot of announcements on kind of that next execution phase that we're talking about right now.
Great, and that actually leads into my next question. What's on the horizon for Premier Health Group for 2020?
A lot of things. I mean, it's pretty exciting. I mean, there will be no shortage of things that we can start talking about now. So, we built this company on purpose so that it has a good foundation. Each one of our subsidiaries and our acquisitions were made for a reason. They all had revenue already. They already had customers. They already had a reason to be joining forces, and so it's synergistic. And so we'll be able to start announcing further things like updates on the number of registered users for our app. We're coming out with a direct consumer brand soon that we'll be able to announce, and that way any patient from anywhere across Canada can download it and start using it and so on. Our initiative with pharmacies and the kiosks and so on are things that we're going to be able to talk about as well and expand on. And then a bunch of other things that, partnerships and things that we can't really talk about yet, but are going to be exciting because, like you said, it's a very interesting space. It's a very exciting space, and it's a space that we're going to go from less than 1% delivery, like we talked about, to probably over 50% delivery of virtual care in the next 10 years. And we're the only, as far as I know, the only publicly traded Canadian company that's doing telemedicine right now. There's a lot of private companies. There's a big U.S. company in Teladoc. But otherwise, we're the only one where a patient can be a patient and they can also be an investor. right? Which is, I think, interesting.
Very interesting. And what excites you about Premier Health's future and where it's heading?
Well, partly that is that we're right at the beginning of that hockey stick, and it's pretty exciting. But even more so as being a doctor, I see this as quite revolutionary at the very beginnings of a healthcare disruption that is the solution, I think, to a lot of the problems we have. And so adoption is going to be interesting. The fact that the patients are going to be rewarded for this, that it's going to make it easier and better for doctors to provide better care, to provide team-based care now where everybody's working together, not just one doctor here and one walk-in clinic here, but everybody together, from your counselor to your pharmacist to your naturopath to your family doctor to your specialist. They're all using the same platform, and they're all circling you instead of you circling them. And so it's quite exciting.
Yeah, well, I'm very excited to see the progression. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Dr. Isam Hamza, the CEO of Premier.
So that's the interview I did before they did the name change. And you can see here that the stock is at 50 cents in Canada, currently at 39 cents in America, DOC in Canada, DOCRF in America. And we're in the middle of a crazy, crazy, crazy day today. Markets are melting down. Not melting up, but melting down. Massive, massive market meltdown. Once again, CloudMD to offer free trial telemedicine solutions to healthcare professionals across North America to help manage coronavirus pandemic. CloudMD Software and Services, DOC in Canada, DOCRF in America, and 6PH in Frankfurt, Germany. A company focused on revolutionizing the delivery of healthcare is pleased to announce it is immediately offering a free trial of its proprietary telemedicine solutions to North American healthcare professionals to help tackle the coronavirus epidemic. The CDC and President Trump have recently announced that telemedicine is a vital part of fighting the current pandemic. On Friday, President Trump said his administration will waive certain federal rules to make it easier for more doctors to provide care remotely using video chats and other services. This is what CloudMD specializes in. The biggest company out there for telemedicine services is TDoc, which I also brought to you guys first. At $100, they went as high as $150. They've fallen back down now to $123 pre-market. So it might be a good opportunity to pick them up here. Maybe it goes a little bit lower, but I think the upside is tremendous. And make sure you put CloudMD on your radar, put it on your watch list, go to their website. It's cloudmd.ca. This is your boy Rich from Rich TV Live. If you're not winning, you're not watching. We bring in the winners, and we bring them to you first. Let me know what you guys think. Smash the like button if you like this video. Share it everywhere. Comment down below. It's your boy, and I'm out. Peace. CloudMD, guys. Remember where you heard it first. We don't just like to bring in the winners. We love to bring them to you first. And if Trump says he likes telemedicine, you know your boy likes telemedicine. Stay tuned.